I am Baker Wiles, and this is the Baker Brief. Good evening. Now, today I made the mistake of checking my weekly screen time report on my phone. Apparently my phone is now sending evidence directly to the prosecution. 7 hours a day. At this point, I'm not even using my device. I'm in a common law marriage with my charger. And the report always says your screen time was up 12%. Yeah, thanks, you little narc, right? I bought you, right? You work for me. I'm not gonna be judged by some black rectangle that spends its entire night face down on my dresser. Right. Now, before any of my other technology starts producing documentation about me, let's talk about what's going on in the news. Tonight in the news, Meta discovers bedtime. Legal immigration goes away for staff development, and the Strait of Hormuz reaches an agreement with an asterisk large enough to block a tanker. Let's go to the desk. Hello. I am Baker Wiles, and this is the Baker Brief. Now, if you're just joining us tonight, first up, Meta has agreed to pay up to $18 billion over the next decade to settle claims from nearly every state that Facebook and Instagram were designed to addict children and that the company misled the public about safety. Meta denies wrongdoing, which is corporate language for, here's $18 billion. Let's never talk about this again. Under the settlement, teen accounts will be limited by default to 2 hours a day across Facebook and Instagram, blocked from midnight to 6 in the morning, and spared most push notifications during school hours, unless a parent consents. At last, the company that gave teenagers infinite scroll has discovered a revolutionary new feature: bedtime. The agreement does not eliminate personalized recommendations or targeted advertising. So the algorithm may continue studying your child like a lab rat. It just has to stop shaking the cage at midnight. 70% of the money, about $12.7 billion, is guaranteed. Another $5 billion depends on whether TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat adopt similar protections. Meta negotiated a $5 billion coupon that activates if the other platforms start behaving. Even its punishment has a referral program. For years, Meta said the problem was how teenagers used Instagram. Then, nearly every state sued, and the company immediately located the off switch. Apparently, the missing parental control was an attorney general. Next, the State Department has paused immigrant visa appointments around the world while consular officers undergo training. There is an important distinction here. This is a pause in immigrant visa appointments, not every kind of visa, and not a declaration that every application has been permanently denied. So legal immigration is still available. You simply cannot make the appointment required to legally immigrate. Very different. But applicants with scheduled interviews have reportedly received messages saying they will be rescheduled without new dates. That is not a rejection. It is a life-altering government decision rendered as an empty calendar invitation. The government says the training will help officers screen applicants consistently and identify people likely to become dependent on public benefits. Fine, train the officers. But when every embassy pauses at once and nobody announces when appointments resume, that is not a training day. That is immigration policy wearing a lanyard. The administration says people should come legally, wait patiently, and follow every rule. And America will reward them with an automated reply. We remain a nation of immigrants, pending calendar availability. Finally, the official status of the Strait of Hormuz depends on which Iranian official finished speaking most recently. Iran's Revolutionary Guards announced that Iran and Oman had agreed how to share control of the waterway and its revenue. Then, a senior Iranian source said the agreement was not finalized and the details were still being negotiated. The agreement entered fact-checking before it left the press conference. Visible commodity vessel traffic rose from 8 ships Tuesday to 10 Wednesday, but remained below the recent average of about 15. Now, oil tankers are enormous steel vessels carrying millions of barrels of combustible fuel, and somehow they are still the least volatile thing in this story. Qatar's prime minister is now in Tehran trying to restart diplomacy between Iran and the United States. That is encouraging, because until the governments agree on whether they have agreed, Hormuz is carrying 10 ships and 14 versions of the truth. At this point, the most dangerous cargo moving through that strait is the press release. Before we go, we lost 2 extraordinary performers this week. Tim Curry and Dolly Parton both died Tuesday at the age of 80. Tim Curry could make theatrical excess feel completely truthful. From the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Clue to It, Annie, Spamalot, and decades of voice work, he never merely entered a scene. He arrived as if he knew something illegal about everyone already in it. I suspect that he would permit that one. After a major stroke in 2012, he continued performing, recording, and meeting the audiences who had kept his work alive across generations. Dolly Parton was a songwriter, singer, actor, businesswoman, and philanthropist. But even that list feels inadequate. She was an icon. She wrote songs that belonged to millions of people while remaining unmistakably herself. Her imagination library has sent more than 300 million free books to children around the world. She often reached the joke first and left everyone else to discover that they had underestimated her. Tim Curry was one of the first actors that I ever truly idolized. And Dolly Parton, while I wasn't a country western fan, sang songs that I still know the words of today. Tim Curry made strangeness feel like belonging, and Dolly Parton made goodness feel glamorous. Both prove that you could be larger than life without making anyone else feel small. The world is less colorful without them. And we were lucky that they were here. Good night.